Recording.
What is going on, guys? It is me, Raymond, with take 2 of my scariest event when we explored an abandoned church in 2016, part 2, on the same dirt road. So after we tore the old church down that we explored the first time, as you know, if you saw the previous video, we tore it down. Now we go down to the road to another church. It was also a Sunday morning. It was after Halloween. And we went down and we was going to go see it. I mean, we thought the public, everybody talked about this church just like they talked about the other church that we had explored and torn down. Me, Connor, Matthew, we all three was driving. Well, we drove in his car a little way and we got out. We was going to walk. I'm like, nah, man, you need to drive. All right, so we drive. We get close to the church, and there's cars sitting in this church driveway on this dirt road. There is a mailbox with an address up there. Now, everybody has told us that this church is abandoned. It was an old wooden church. They had a lady preacher in there, and I'm going to tell y'all a story that's probably going to send chills up your spine. But it's something that I did in 2016 that I regret to this day. They had a lady Pentecostal preacher in this church, and they were in there. They were singing, they were dancing. They were doing the Pentecostal truth, man. They were preaching that shit. And no offense, to people who go to Pentecostal churches. I love a good Pentecostal service. We go in there, and this lady pastor, she's up there, and she's just like, they're meeting and greeting each other. This church has real people in it. And the lady pastor sees us, and she beelines for all three of us. Walks down, greets us, and she's about 24 years old. She beelines for all of us. And this time, she's beelining for all of us. And we're just sitting there, man. Oh, here we go. She's like, boys, I would invite y'all to come to our services. She said, but, that's if you guys want to come and stay. They're like, no, we was looking for an abandoned church. She said, what do you mean you was looking for an abandoned church? My friend Matthew pulls up. It was the church right below. You go out the door and you go to the left. Because if you go to the right, you're going to go back to the church we tore down. You go to the left. And she takes Matthew's phone, and this female pastor starts looking through Matthew's phone, looking at the map. She hands him his phone back. She says, honey, she says, I don't want to ruin you guys' fun. She says, but, that church down there is abandoned. It's abandoned. And, my dumb ass decides to do something. Now, this is, I'm going to get into the scary part of the story. We do go to that church. But let me just tell y'all, 30 minutes or better. I'm not going to call myself Mr. 30 minutes or better. I'm going to say 30 minutes or longer. Just bear with me. We get down there. My dumbass does something. I reach for the pastor and her hands. Don't do this, by the way. This is 2016. Okay, this is when I was young, dumb. So I reach for the female pastor's hands. We're on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. She says, oh, you need prayer? And I'm like, sort of. And she takes me into her office that she has in her church. We go into the office and we're sitting there. We're talking. And she's like, honey, what are you guys wanting with that church down the road down there? Where like we are, we love exploring abandoned buildings, and they told us that this one down that you guys are running that was abandoned. It's like, no, we're just fixing it up, and stuff like that. Fixing it up, trying to make it, we want to make it a Pentecostal church. She said, I'm a Pentecostal preacher. We're like, all right. So she goes, and we don't stay for the service. Now, you better listen to the words of reason, or the words of wisdom. If someone tries to tell you, no, don't do this, don't do this. Because I come back to this lady. This story is going to get interesting. So we go down to this other abandoned church. And we show up. And we go inside. And the one thing that we noticed when we get inside this church, or notice, is it has power. There's power to it. There's a bell in the bell tower where you go up to the belfry and you ring it. So you got to go up a flight of stairs. You got to go through one door, and then you got to go up to the belfry, and then you got to go ring the church bell. We get into the church, and some dude is up at the front, and he turns around and says, hello, can I help y'all? Like, yeah, we're explorers. He's like, yeah, man, I'm exploring too. I saw the doors open, so I figured I'd come in and explore too. Well, little us to know, it always ends bad. It always ends bad. We're sitting there, and we're talking on one of the pews. We're sitting there talking on one of the pews. We haven't even started the exploring yet. Then we start to hear cars pull up. Then we start to hear people coming in. And we're looking outside, or my buddies are, and there's just lines of cars pulling up to this little church. About 5-10 minutes later, this little lady comes up and she says, guys, she says, we're here to have church this morning. Are you here to join? I'm like, we thought this church was abandoned too. Which it was. It was abandoned. This is the scary stuff you got to see when you go to these abandoned churches. This is the stuff that there was really no cars out there. But in our minds, we heard stuff. We heard shit. We heard cars. So again, this lady says, well, y'all need to kind of, quiet down. The services is about to start. Services start. The guy preacher, you can feel people walking by you, just like in the other church. You can feel people walking by, like in the other church. You can feel them. You know how when they're walking down a church aisle. I'm pretty sure you've sat by the edge of on the end of the pew, and you can feel people going by. You can feel people going by, and that's exactly what we felt when we were sitting in this church on the second row. Sitting on the second row, people was walking by us. We're thinking, wow, like this is a really, really scary experience because we've experienced it in the other church. Now what are we experiencing here? The guy Pastor gets up to the front and he tells us, he says, all rise as we sing Amazing Grace. We rise and we do that. Big mistake on us rising, because this hand comes and it shoves me, Matthew, and Connor down into the benches, and it holds us there. Like, we're sitting there and it holds us there, and you hear this voice say, I told you not to enter. Now, before we entered this church, nothing has told us not to enter. Nothing has told us not to enter this building. I told y'all, it always ends bad. So we get up and we find out that we've been cut across our forehead. I mean, we've been cut, we're bleeding, we've got blood running down our face. We're literally have been cut, bleeding, cutting. Turns out we were stabbed across the forehead, like with a screwdriver. This pastor stabbed us like 4 or 5 times across the forehead. I mean, he just stabbed us 1, 2, 3, 4. And this pastor stabbed us like 5 times in this scary ass church. Stabbed us in the forehead to where we could bleed, where we would bleed. We're bleeding at this point. Blood running down my nose. I could taste it, man. I could feel it running in my eye. At one time, the blood got in my eye and it burnt like crazy. Blood, I could taste it running in my mouth. Where he had cut me. Where the pastor had stabbed me and cut me. And I'm sitting there and I am bleeding like a stuffed pig. Whether or no, we thought our injuries were like little bitty stab wounds. So we run. We're headed back to that Pentecostal service. We get down there. The lady's in the middle of preaching. When we stop her walking, was like, man. She looks at our foreheads and she runs to the back. She says, yeah, I knew it. She pulls me and my 2 friends into her office, and she gets one of like her staff members to go get towels and wet rags and stuff like that to help us recover or get the blood off of us. This pastor has stabbed us in the forehead, and the stabs weren't even that deep. They were just enough to make you bleed, and the blood run all in your mouth. The blood was in my eye at one point, and I'm sitting there going, no way. There's no way that I just got stabbed by a nobody. But you hear the stories all the time that spirits can attack you, and they physically can. This is what happened in 2016. Back on top. The lady pastor, doctors us up. She puts us Band-Aids on, and she says, I'm fixing to contact somebody, and we're fixing to get that church tore down now. Well, Connor says, can you get us in touch with the owners where we can do it? The lady pastor does some work, and she gets us in touch with the owners, and we tell the owners what happened. He's like, yeah. He's like, I hate to tell you boys this, but did you know a pastor killed all of his church members in that church with a shotgun? A 12-gauge shotgun. This pastor has shot like all of his church members, and at least the story he got. The story was lost. I think the story happened in 1880 something. But the story was lost. It never made news. When you Google it, it's never been found. So we don't know if this story was true or not. But the story was told to us by the owners, who got it told to them that a pastor had killed all of his family and went to church that morning and shot and killed his church members and his deacons. Shot them all. Killed them. Dead. So that's where the evilness came from in that church was where he had shot his, where he had shot his, family, and, he'd killed his family first at home, and then he went to the church and then shot his, other, his members and everything. But like I said, if you look up the story, it's not there. We've tried to look it up then, and it's not there. We've asked investigators about it, and they still, like, this is back in 2016. We've asked, like, people about it, and they're like, we don't know nothing. Like, we don't know nothing about this story. We don't know anything. So yeah, the story was lost. I mean, it was told to them, and so we took the story, and now we tell it these days. That way people does not go down that dirt road and get hurt, because we don't want it to happen to anybody else. But this comes to show y'all, the story don't end there. The female pastor cleans us up and everything. Them two go outside to talk. Me and her is left in her office alone, and we're talking. We start talking about life. We start talking about stuff that's going on in my life, stuff that's going on in her life, things that, and there is a church full of people out there holding a Pentecostal service and singing. We're singing, or they are, not we are, but they're singing in there. They're having fun. We're sitting there and we're talking, and then, we kind of got a little close to each other. Not love, but we've got friends, closest friends ever with this female pastor. And she was like 24 again, 24, 25. And she's like, well, I'm going to go back in here, and I want you to sit in this office and just relax. And I'm sitting in her office, and I'm like, when she comes back, because they had a baptistry in the church, I'm like, can you baptize me? She's like, well, most certainly I can baptize you. When do you want to get baptized? This is in 2016. I said, I want to get baptized next Sunday if you can do it, She's like, well, I can do it. I can get it done. Now, the baptistry at their church in 2016 was very sketchy. It was, it had a sketchy staircase, but it was, this is how evil people can be. When you think somebody's nice, I'm going to show you right now. This is how evil people can be. She said, yeah, I can do it next Sunday. She looks at her phone and she says, let me check my calendar on my phone. And she goes scrolling through. She said, yeah, I can do it next Sunday. Next Sunday comes. I have my swimming trunks. And I go up to this church. There's nobody there. We're like, oh, man, too scary. No, watch this. This is the stuff you have to see when you explore and abandon stuff. So don't do this. We walk up to the same church, and we find a note. We find a note. And it's from this female lady pastor, 24, 25. Man, we've tried to ask everybody about her, and nobody would give us information on her. We're sitting there, we're reading, or my buddy, he finds the letter. We go into what was the pastor's office, and there's a letter. He's like, Raymond, come here, bud. We was looking for the baptistry. We was looking for the baptistry because we were we were looking for the baptistry because the baptistry was probably down there at the back of the church somewhere, and we was looking for it. Me and Connor was, but Matthew was in the pastor's office. He said, guys, I found something. You guys might need to come here and listen. Okay. What do we need to listen for? I mean, what is it? We go and I told y'all it always ends bad. When I tell y'all something, it does. We go into the pastor's office. Connor starts reading. Dear Raymond, I remember this letter to this day. Dear Raymond, I'm sorry, honey. The baptism is not going to happen on Sunday. I have other family matters to attend to. But I want you to know that I love you and God loves you. And all of my members love and care for you. We kind of sat there and I kind of turned my eyes away. This is where you start getting emotional, because this is where the emotions start. You know, you were promised to get baptized in 2016, which we were messing around in abandoned churches and we didn't know it. Both of them were abandoned from the start. We just heard stuff, and my friend seen stuff. We go down to the baptistry and it's full of water. We find the baptistry. It's full of water. There was a phone number at the bottom of the note. I said, hey, Connor, go grab that note. Let me call that number. This lady pastor answers. She's like, hello? I'm like, yeah, is this so-and-so, Pastor so-and-so? She says, yeah. She says, we're just going to start church. I said, hey, I got a question for you. She goes, Raymond, I know what question you're fixing to ask me. I saw you guys walking towards that church. My church is below my old church. Turn around and go to the right. I'm like, well, I was promised a baptism by you, and your name is on the paper. She goes, what? I'll baptize you anyway, but can you bring me the letter so I can see it? Sweet lady, by the way. Just before I had a chance to hang up, I handed my friend his phone back, and I get pushed down these stairs, and I bust my face all to hell. I break some of my teeth off. I break some of my face is all bloody. My nose is busted. My whole face is just jammed up from getting pushed and shoved, and I land on my face first. The baptistry was not full of water. It was full of hurt and pain. I busted my face and I messed my face up. I got messed around. I got up. We went to that church. We took a right, and there it was. We walked in. The pastor was meeting us outside. She says, I said, you like 30 or 24? She said, honey, I'm 60 years old. I've got, a husband and everything else, but I'm 60 and I'll baptize you today if you want. This was a today split decision. She said, you were promised to be baptized today by, I don't know what. She said, and that is my full name, and I'm not 24 or 25. I'm 67 years of age, and I have a husband. I started telling her, and she's like, honey, I know what you're talking about, but those churches have been abandoned for years. No one has been there. She said, but let us go get the baptistry ready, and I'll baptize you. We go in there, and the baptism goes like it should. I get baptized that very same day in 2016. I get dunked. I'm sitting there after getting baptized, and I'm standing in the water, And this lady pastor tells the audience what has happened to us. The next day, the two owners of the buildings gave us permission to go in there and tear it down. And we tore them both down. We tore them both down. But yeah, it's not as scary as the first one. But the part 2 video, it's going to kind of confuse you a little bit. But at the end, you will see what's going on and how the video ended. It ended in a good way. Me getting baptized in 2016, finally. And then I got baptized in 2025 one time, and then I'm getting baptized again, which is 3 times. The third time I'll be dunked. And, it'll be the third time. So, me and my buddies, we've done some stupid things in 2016, explored abandoned buildings. I've got a story, if y'all want to hear it. I've got a story about us and exploring a abandoned railroad station, and you could hear the steam locomotive. Let me just go ahead and throw that story in there too. Me and my buddies, after that church experience, we kept hearing about this abandoned railroad station. We kept hearing about it. We kept hearing about the abandoned railroad station. Man, you can hear that steam locomotive. You can hear that whistle blowing. It's abandoned. And it was. But we had to go way far off to find this thing. We go and we find this abandoned railroad station. We get there about midnight, 12, 1 o'clock. And in the yard of the station, or where the train stops, right by the platform where the train stops, there is a steam locomotive engine just chilling there. It's just sitting there. It is just sitting there. It is just, we go inside the station because the doors were broken and the floor was rotted. The counter where you go up to get a ticket was still there. And we went behind the counter, or I didn't. My friends went behind there because they could see. But my friends went behind the counter looking, trying to find some stuff, plundering and stuff like that. And they went behind the counter looking to see, what they could find behind the counter. Well, I'm going to tell you guys, it always ends bad. It always ends bad. That night, we're touring, or we're exploring. And it's not that big. It's not even a 2-story building. We look out the window, and that train that we saw, or my buddies saw, sitting by the platform where the rails are, was gone. It was gone. We're sitting there. Here come the train. You hear the far off. We heard this really lonely sound of a steam locomotive whistle that gave us all chills. And this train, it was coming pretty fast because we knew that shit was going to go down. We felt it in our bones. We just didn't want to believe it. We heard this train coming. Excuse me. We heard this train coming. It kept getting louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. The train pulled up to the station, and you could physically hear the whistle and the steam and the noise it makes. We walk out onto the platform. These 2 guys come at us with shovels and hits us. Boom! Hits me right in the face. I get my forehead cut with the shovel. The guy, and that steam, they shovel hot ass coal, and they hit you with that hot ass shovel, it's gonna hurt. Well, they hit us with that hot ass shovel. Right in the forehead. Done. and commences to beating us with this shovel. You know, this is nobody there. Nobody's here. Nobody's standing there. It is it looked like a demon, is what my friends told me it looked like. Beating us with two demons, beating us, or this one demon who is a fireman, beating us with this shovel. My shoulders hurt, my back hurt, my legs hurt, my knees hurt. My whole damn head felt like a damn giant ass rock rolled on it and hit it. We leave that train station and we went and told the railroad people about it, and like, where's it at now? He was a cool dude. He's like, where's it at? We told him. He's like, oh, we'll check it out. Sure enough, the next day we go by there and they're tearing it down immediately, tearing everything apart. So yeah, this story, it ended bad and it ended good. And anyways, guys, if you love this double story video, please, I beg everybody, subscribe, like the video, subscribe if you want. I'm not forcing you to. And I will see you guys later.
Stop.